Welcome, everybody. Welcome to We Talkin Shop. It's a show that we just started for We Talking About Sports. With me, as always, is Mr. Roland Zamora there in the middle, a.k.a. Brim Baby, because he always has the flyest hats on. Me and Ben try to keep up with you, man, but sometimes we just can't because you got the flyest hats in the game. And Ben, speaking of hats, what is on your head, my boy? Thank you for joining us on the show today. We're running the three-man weave. All right, we're going to bring you MMA. We're going to bring you NBA. And we're going to bring you NFL. All right, a little bit shorter of a show, a little bit of a variety show. But, boys, this is the time of the year when NFL just finished. MLB hasn't started yet. We're in the all-star break. So we've been watching some puck and some soccer and all this random stuff. So welcome to We Talking About Shop. Boys, hit me with an intro, man.
Man, I don't know if I can follow that up, Ron. You did it so well with this intro right here. Thank you for the introduction on the hats. I do try and change it up every now and again, but great weekend of football. Football. Great weekend of sports. Even though, like you said, we are kind of in that dead period. We're in between, the NFL, waiting for the NBA playoffs to get started, waiting for March Madness to come along and kind of like spruce things up here as far as the sports world's concerned, but still making a do. Still got UFC in the middle of one of their better streaks of I think 11 straight pay-per-views, not pay-per-views, but 11 straight events. So we'll be busy watching sports, and I'm just glad to chop it up with you guys. Going to try not let the ball drop on the three-man weave here. So we'll see.
Bro, the glazing on that intro, my God. One day I hope I can get an intro like that, right? Maybe, a bucket hat band intro, but this is Gobies and Blues golf. Got a big four-man scramble Saturday in the Valley.
Yeah.
So we're ready. We're getting the mental reps in here while we podcast. But no, happy to be here, guys. A lot of USC, like Roland said. We're going to talk about last week's pay-per-view, the main event. Talk about a little bit of, fights in the future, and then get into some basketball, which we haven't talked about much. We can probably talk about All-Star Weekend a little bit. There was a lot of mixed feelings on All-Star Weekend. A lot of memes coming out of All-Star Weekend for the NBA. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
All right, man. So thanks, everybody, for joining. If you are watching, we appreciate the share. We appreciate the likes. You know how all that stuff rolls. So if you could hook us up, we'd really appreciate that. So like Roland always says, man, I'll steal a little slogan from you, man. Without further ado, let's get into it. What Ben was talking about. So we had Volkanovski and Ilya. You see the odds here, boys. We know who won the fight. Take us through it. Ben, we'll start it off with you, man. What'd you think of the fight, and did the guy that you predict win, for those who didn't watch last time?
Yeah, it was some changing of the guard that we talked about. We had a pretty good I felt like we had a pretty good dialogue about this fight last week. We had a lot of people in the comments section,
very animated.
It was very animated, yeah, and we had a good convo, and I thought it was a pretty good fight for as long as it lasted. I mean, Volkanovski, obviously we know how it ended with him being knocked out yet again. We talked about him possibly coming back a little too soon. His chin maybe deteriorating with his old age and being head kicked, KO'd his previous fight, but he looked good. But it also, that first round is a lot of feeling out process, especially in these championship fights when it's 5 rounds. For a guy like Topuria, I think you could kind of tell throughout the whole fight, he was the one doing the stalking, and it was just a matter of when he was going to connect. Eventually Volkanovski did back himself up against the cage, and there was nowhere to go when that left hook, came in. Topuria with a lot of combos. I mean, this dude's young. He's very precise. His confidence. I mean, we talked about how it rubbed some people the wrong way coming into the fight. Him changing his Instagram to 15-0 and champion of the world already before the fight. Like, he did a lot of manifesting. It came to fruition. Shot a whole documentary about him becoming a champion, leading up to this fight. So I think that he's going to be there to reign that division for a while, boys. I was very impressed with the way that he fought. I was.
Yeah, I was on the wrong end of that prediction. I was on Volk. I was back in the championship medal. I thought he was going to be able to get it done. And even though he won the first round on all judges' scorecards, like Ben said, you could tell very early on who was the one throwing the power, who was the one that had the ability to end the fight at any given moment. And that was clearly Tapuria. Listening to some podcasts and listening to other people speak, what I'm about to say, it was kind of brought up by a fighter, but watching the fight, you could kind of get the sense that, Volk was trying to keep him at distance as much as he could. He was spamming those leg kicks early on, trying to keep him at distance. But what gave me worry watching the fight, and whenever you're watching a fight like this, you kind of know what's going to end up happening, is whenever Tapuria was going in with that right, you saw, Volk kind of like backing away and kind of like leaning back. And you never really want to see that in terms of like footwork and just getting escapability, I guess, in terms of getting out of the pocket. And like Ben said, he eventually got himself backed up against the cage, and, he just went up against a sniper and got sniped. Now, Volk calling for the rematch. I want to bring that up and let the guys discuss it. Volk calling for the rematch. He did have a long reign. Do you think he's, calling for it? Is it valid? And their coaches are kind of describing it as Tapuria had the puncher's chance and he hit his punch, so kind of downplaying it a little bit. What do you say about that?
Man, I don't know about him getting the rematch right away just because he got knocked the hell out. I mean, it didn't go to the judges' scorecards. It wasn't controversial. It didn't even get past the second round, boys. So for you to call out a rematch right away is kind of tough. Now, I will say that, to me, Volk was kind of finding a little bit of pace. He was kind of hitting Ilya with that jab and he was landing. But it's like one of those fights where he looked like he was maybe trying to outpoint him, or his shots weren't effective. Ilya was walking straight through them. And just the age difference, man, 31 and 26. I think that was the biggest eye opener for me, because I said, Volk's still in his early 30s. He might still have a chance, but it just looked like there's levels, the level where guys always say. And even though I'm a casual, like Ben likes to throw around, you can see that if Volk wants a rematch, man, because he just got steamrolled.
He definitely wants a rematch because he called for it. I as like somebody who tries to respect these champions, even though I don't like their fight style for the most part. I wasn't the biggest Volkanovski fan. He always stepped up for the UFC. You saw him fight Islam on short notice, and keep that fight on instead of being called off. So he's been a guy who's always done right by the company. He's been very active. He's defended his belt, every time they've called on him. So I do feel like he deserves his rematch, especially because when you think about, who would be next, you're talking about like Imavov, and it's guys who really aren't very known. Tapuria already isn't the biggest name, just yet, right? He just burst onto the scene. So if you put him against somebody like Imavov, and then he's a champion, so you have him on a pay-per-view, that's really not going to sell much. So for the promotion, it would make more sense to let Volkanovski run it back. The thing is, now you've been knocked out twice. Tapuria is probably ready to be in there by this summer. I don't know if you want to rush Volkanovski in there after 2 straight KOs. It's more of like sit out for a year, bro, regroup, come back, re-energize. But for him, if he doesn't get this rematch, who knows how many more people skip him up in the ladder, taking that amount of time off. So if he forces himself back in, I think we're going to see Tapuria at like 2-1 odds. I think that's how big the adjustment's going to be. And I think that he finishes him again. So hopefully he does take time off, but he's a guy that definitely deserves a rematch. He's always done right by the UFC.
Yeah, I agree. He's
Roland, what do you think, man? Rematch?
Yeah, no, I agree. I like Ben said, he called it out a lot in the post-fight presser. He was talking about the rematch. He brought up all of the things that Ben said. He said, I've been a company man over the years, hope they do right by me, long reigning champion. Really can't argue any of the points that he brought up. The only thing you can talk about is, what Ben said is, do you want to jump in there too soon when people were already questioning if he was going into this fight too soon, not letting himself recover a little bit. So once you take all those things into consideration, I would like for him to take a little bit of time off. Hopefully, Tapuria doesn't, find another mate to fight with. Pause. That came out a little sus, but Max Holloway is tied up. He's fighting Justin Gaethje. He would probably be the other number one contender for him to fight. So who knows what's going to happen in that
somebody
fight.
in this weekend's fight that we're going to talk about, Ortega and Yair.
Yeah,
somebody does something special. You could see one of those guys getting a shot.
for sure. And, there might be something to build there with Yair and Topuria. But I think Ilya, he has a chance to be a superstar. They're super excited about, unlocking Spain in that part of the world. They really haven't had a champion from there before. There's only been, I think,
going there ASAP already, bro.
Yeah, five active fighters. They want to do a fight in the Real Madrid stadium. I don't want to butcher how you pronounce it, the Bernabeu or something like that. So that's a stadium that can hold like 80,000 people. So this guy has superstar potential. Hopefully they make a, kind of a super fight for that. He called out Conor McGregor, which I think is just, a formality at this point for anybody who's in one of those weight classes. You call him out. Well, I think it's interesting. And I like, kind of what he said. I don't know. There's not any, weight behind this, but he said Conor McGregor can choose whatever weight he wants. I'll go up and fight him, whatever weight class he wants. So I kind of like that out of Ilya, not afraid, but let's see who his next matches.
It's dope. It's just something you have to do. But like realistically, the only way Conor's going to fight him is if it's for the belt. And Conor is no shot cutting to that weight. That's the only shot, right? Is if it's an automatic title shot for Conor. And there's no chance that he makes that weight. So respect the call out, right? Got to shoot your shot when you finally get there, but not happening, kid. Not happening.
Yeah, man. As we end on the Volkanovski fight, I think everything that you guys said was true, but especially that he is a company man, and this is a guy who also carried the belt a long time. He defended his title often, so I think you got to give him one more shot, and then you can say, hey, we gave it to you, you lost again. Go ahead and just chill in the ranks. Chill at 4, chill at 5. Be like a Whitaker, who we saw that fight. He fought Costa, who's just still in that range. Ben called it like a gatekeeper position, not necessarily at 10 or 11 or 12, but in the middle of the pack. And then, go off into the sunset, retire, do your, Masvidal kind of fights, maybe do a BMF kind of vibe, and that kind of thing for Volkanovski. But as we progress into the show, man, UFC Mexico is coming up next, and I will let Roland take the lead on this one. Moreno versus Royval, Rodriguez versus Ortega. Ben said that fight should be incredible, man. I'm going to go over the odds real quick. Moreno, the clear favorite at -290. Royval at +240, almost 2.5 to 1. And then Rodriguez is the favorite in the next fight, and Ortega, the slight underdog. Like Ben mentioned, it should be a closer fight. Roland, who are your winners here, and what do you got to say about the fight?
I'll keep it short and sweet. Moreno here. I saw a tweet today. This is his 6th rematch in a row. He had that trilogy, or I don't know how many fights in a row with Figueiredo, and then all of his fights with Pantoja, and then he's running it back again with another guy in that flyweight? Yeah, in the flyweight division, and Brandon Royval. I think this is lined pretty well, -290. I think Royval's on a quick turn. I mean, I remember him fighting against Pantoja not too long ago, and what was pretty much an all-out war. I mean, at least that's how Pantoja looked at the end of it, just gassing, hoping to get to the end. But yeah, I like Moreno in this fight, -290, the more well-rounded guy. Royval's going to hit you with those bursts. He's a quick guy, but I think Moreno should be able to weather that, get through this one. And then the one below, Rodriguez versus Ortega. I think Yair is going to be a little bit too much. Ortega's talking about a rebirth in some of these, press conferences, saying he's a new man. But I just don't see it with this guy. He hasn't won a fight, and I can't remember, and I don't know how long. Ben, please correct me, but it just feels like a very long time since we've seen Ortega win. I think this is a nice spot for Rodriguez. He's going to be the countryman. So I'm going with Rodriguez and Moreno here, the 2 countrymen actually.
He's going to be coming out to some chente for sure, getting the crowd going. This is actually a rematch, if I'm not mistaken. I think Ortega dislocated his shoulder last time that they fought. He got his arm tangled in Yair's legs, dislocated his shoulder, and the fight had to stop like that. So this is one, like I said, if Ortega can manage to get some sort of, incredible submission or highlight submission, or if Yair can get, one of those kick knockouts, some sort of exciting, stand-up knockout, they could be up there for that fight against Topuria. Topuria is ready to fight, ready to defend. He said, I got to clear out the division a little bit before I go chase fights like, O'Malley, who we're going to talk about a little bit later. But this is, if either one of these guys can get a finish here, it is only and I believe it's a 5-round fight. They like this is one of those co-mains that they made a 5-rounder as well because it's Yair in Mexico.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and throughout 5 rounds, you got to think one of these two guys is going to finish. So I am going to go with Yair in Mexico. We know Ortega's in those Modelo commercials, and he reps a little bit of Mexico. But I mean, come on, dog. He's not really Mexican. He's California Mexican.
Dang.
And I just
you might be pissing some people off with those comments.
I just see Ortega's face ending up like it
Texas,
did against Max Holloway here. I see Rodriguez piecing him up pretty well.
All right, man. Before I give my picks, I'm going to shout out to everybody in the chat real quick. Tony just joined us. He says Brandon and Yair. I saw Jake in here earlier. Let me know who you think wins these fights, Jake. Dukes was in here as well. Big Reenie. What's up, Big Reenie? If you guys, are into merch or into T-shirts, Big Reenie has a brand called Valle Brand. Everybody from the 956. He has hats. He has beanies. He has shirts. Go ahead and hit him up. And I'm trying to get we've been talking about maybe doing like a collab for, an intro song, for We Talking About Sports. So maybe Big Greeny can hook us up with that, man. So shout out to everybody watching.
Yeah, I got a few bars.
Picks, bro. Yeah. And we can all get in the studio, right? What's up, Ryan?
Yeah. I got a few bars.
Ryan in the chat too. Appreciate that. If you guys can go ahead and all right, so I'm going to ride with Moreno as the clear favorite here. Obviously, at 290, you're not going to take him straight, so I will parlay him with Rodriguez. And Roland, you said it, and I was thinking it, bro. I just see pictures of Ortega's face, bro, like in my head, just getting like he cuts easy. I don't know if he kind of has that dog in him. Ben said he's more like of a California Mexican. No disrespect, but Rodriguez and him. If you see them in the back alley, you're probably going to want to rave from Rodriguez faster than you will Ortega. So I'm going to go ahead and do this as a parlay piece here, boys. Moreno and Rodriguez. Those are my picks. Anything else you guys want to touch on?
I mean,
go ahead, man. Let us know.
I think that it's going to be an under. I see a finish in the main event. That one doesn't hit the scorecards either. Royval's a guy that goes for broke, and he does have some finishing ability, but it's like first and second round. I think Moreno probably gets his back and chokes him out. I think that's over under 3.5. I like under 3.5 in that one.
I was going to ask you, Ben, what do you think about the 6 rematches for Moreno? Is there anything behind that?
I think that says more about the flyweight division, Roland. Like shit,
Yeah,
maybe that's why Dana was contemplating getting rid of it back before they said Henry Cejudo saved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good point.
All right, boys, moving on. That is just a fight night, guys. It's crazy because we have been seeing some UFC cards not be as great. I think we talked about 297 kind of missing with Strickland as the main event. But 298 for me didn't miss. It's going to get followed up by this Moreno Royval. And then looking forward to the future, we have UFC 299, Sugar Sean versus Chito. We had the pleasure of seeing Chito Vera in person in San Antonio when the UFC came down. Unfortunately, Sanhagen just, it was a boring fight, and Chito, didn't even look like he was trying. He took the L there, but hopefully he doesn't take it this weekend. Followed with Dustin Poirier, Benoit, and Page versus Holland. Ben, we'll start off with you on UFC 299, man. Winners and overall predictions.
Yeah, this card's at the beginning of March. That's why we're talking about it already. So March 9th, only a couple of weeks away. But we have a rematch here. We know Chito Vera, leg kicked Sean O'Malley and kind of turned off his leg with one of those calf kicks. Won the fight by TKO because O'Malley couldn't stand. And I think that over 5 rounds, this is a 5-round fight. We did see Chito, over there in San Antonio get humped by Sanhagen. I see this being a stand-up fight, and I'm leaning Chito right now over 5 rounds to be able to find those shots. We know he doesn't bruise very easily. So I think it's going to be a stand-up fight. O'Malley's going to have to snipe him. But give me Chito just because I think he's got more dog in him, and he's already beaten O'Malley once. The St. Denis and Poirier fight, I'm actually surprised with the line of St. Denis being the favorite. I know we've kind of alluded to this being the year of the new wave, and St. Denis is definitely the new wave. He's like a Green Beret guy in France, where he's from. Yeah, he's a monster. He's a monster, and we know Poirier's a monster. This is a fight that could have BMF written on it, with both of these guys' fight styles. I don't see this one hitting the card. Somebody's going to get finished. Awesome fight. And then the debut of Michael Venom Page, and we got him fighting Holland. We know Holland has done gentlemen's agreements to only have a stand-up fight with guys like Wonder Boy, who's a world-class stand-up guy. I like the even odds on Venom Page here in his debut. I don't see Holland taking him down. I think he's going to want to stand and strike with him. And Venom Page has a little bit of aura around him. I know, the Trailblazer, Kevin Holland, is a fan favorite, but I think the aura and, that different style of striking that Venom Page brings is live, especially at even odds. He's usually a favorite. I know he's been fighting in Bellator, but I like him here at even odds.
All right, man. Roland, what say you?
Yeah, man. The main event, taking it up from the top, just following Ben. Not so sure where I land yet. I'll probably have a prediction closer to the fight card, but right now I'm gonna have to go with the favorite, Sugar Sean O'Malley. The only thing that gives me pause is Cheeto really hasn't been put out. If you look at his losses, it's all by unanimous decision, going to the scorecards, and Sean O'Malley really isn't a scorecard fighter. I think one of the last scorecards I saw was against Peter Yan. We all know how that fight went, pretty controversial. But if it's going to stay standing, I still think Sean O'Malley is the better striker. Cheeto Vera is a little bit of a slow starter, so the 5 rounds does help him a little bit. But give me the minus 205 favorite right now, and I'll have my official prediction, when we break it down with Justin and the boys. And then so just moving on to Justin Poirier and Benoit Saint Denis. It's a little, I was surprised to see the line, like Ben, seeing him as a favorite, but just thinking about it, he is a more active guy, I guess. The last time we saw Poirier, he did take a nasty head kick. Don't really know how in the game Poirier or how in the game he might be at this stage in his career. Might be a little bit of that at play. But man, Dustin Poirier, as long as I've known him, he's a dog. He's a gamer. He's a guy that gets up for every fight. No matter what, he's training. He's back to the bald Dustin Poirier. I do like that here. A little bit of a twist here in this training camp. Right now, I'm siding with the underdog. I can't go against Dustin Poirier. Might need to do a little bit more research on the Frenchman before I put in any official bets. But give me Dustin Poirier as of this recording. And then Michael Venom Page against Holland. I like Holland as a favorite. I think he's a more well-rounded fighter. But in terms of being a striker, Michael Venom Page, like Ben says, has the aura. He's a well-known striker around the world. You never know what you're going to get with Holland. So at this price for Venom Page, I'll take the even money shot too.
All right, man. So last card, there was a lot of chalk. I think it was 11-1 on the UFC 298 card. However, this UFC 299, I'm all about the dogs, baby. Give me Chito at 165. Give me Poirier at plus 116. And there really isn't a plus on the last fight that we have up here, but give me Holland to win that fight as well. So not all the dogs, ain't Drake, not for all the dogs, but I'm taking a couple of them here for UFC 299. And that's it, man. That kind of wraps up our UFC talk for this show. So let's switch it over. Taking it all the way to the hardwood here, switching it completely up. And we are on the All-Star break right now, so there hasn't been any games going on. But, boys, it's time to put in your championship odds future parlay here. I mean, everything here is plus money, so you cannot go wrong with whatever team that you take. Boston Celtics are leading with plus 265, all the way down to the Mavericks at plus 3,000. Who are your NBA 2024 champion picks going to be this year, man?
Man, it's tough this year. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite, just like there was last year. I know the Nuggets, they were the chalk going in for the West, and they ended up prevailing and winning that championship. But it was their first time winning it. We're seeing new blood. We're seeing teams like the Thunder and the Timberwolves assert themselves atop the West in the standings. But a lot of what I'm hearing right now and stuff that I'm listening to out in the media is, and we all know this, there's a huge difference between regular season basketball and playoff basketball. There's teams out there that are just playing to get to the playoffs because there's things that go on in October, November, December, January that doesn't fly in the playoffs, right? So the only reason why I'm saying that is not taking shots at these teams, but you see the number 1 seed in the West, or the 2, I don't know where they're at as of this recording, but Minnesota Timberwolves. they're plus 2,500. So even though they're atop the West, really not a threat in terms of Vegas, they would be one of my value picks. I do like them. I like Anthony Edwards. I like their defense. Really think that they're going to give a lot of teams trouble in the playoffs. Just haven't seen them do it. Same thing with the Thunder. But if I'm making a pick today, give me the Clippers. I think that this is the year that they get it done. We saw them bring over James Harden. They were the laughingstock of the NBA for about 2 weeks when they lost the first 6 games with James Harden. You've seen them correct the course. They probably have the best record in the NBA since they had that 6-game losing streak. So they're gelling. James Harden looks good. They're getting some help from the other guys as well. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard's having a potential MVP season. We'll get to that later. But this is a Clippers chance. I think this is their best opportunity that they've had since the bubble, when we all know what happened there. But give me the Clippers to get it done at plus 500 and value. Thunder and Timberwolves. I'll sprinkle a little bit on those guys too. But give me the Clippers. This is the year they get it done. Give my boy James Harden a ring.
And I'll give you even more props, Roland, because you've been calling for the Clippers at least 2-3 weeks before we're filming right now. So you've been on them for a while, man. So I will give you that. You're not showing out for the show or anything. You've been riding the Clippers for a minute. So
I have them. I think plus 400. I think to win the West. So I got on that a couple of weeks ago. That was shorter. I missed the wave. You should have gotten in when they were on that losing streak. But nonetheless, like where I'm at right now.
Shit, I like that too, man. Perfect analysis there of and you're right, bro, because a lot of the guys on these teams, like, they're older dudes, so anything before the All-Star break, you don't know if they're going like 100%. You see them sitting out a lot of games, but after the All-Star break is when everybody kind of turns it on. Ben, are you going to go with somebody in the middle of the pack here? Are you taking a long shot? Like the Mavs or maybe even the Thunder? We were talking about SGA off camera, how he might be a favorite for the MVP, which is next. Or are you going to go with some higher odds, man, like the defending champs, or maybe somebody in the East to finally come out like the Celtics?
What I'm going to do, since Roland stole all my thunder with my boy Uno,
Hey, you can still be with the Clippers, bro. You can still be with them. You like James Harden.
I still want to rock with the Clippers, but I do want to give a different look. I love the Clippers this year. I want James Harden to win a ring. And the fact that they were the laughing stock because they were saying we got to figure it out. Now they figured it out, and they're up in the top 3 or top 4 in the West. I'm really pulling for the Clippers. I am out of that side. I like what you said about the Timberwolves, but the fact that we haven't seen it, right? Like Karl Anthony Towns, they have games where they rather try and get him 80 points or 70 points instead of playing basketball the right way and just winning. You know what I mean? Against the Utah Jazz or wherever the hell they're playing. Like, I don't think that they're ready. I think they're one of those teams that, like, goes hard during the regular season when everybody else is kind of just, all right, let's get in the playoffs, because they have, like, the vets that have been in the playoffs and know the NBA is a playoff game. The Timberwolves are definitely going to do good as far as getting themselves, home court advantage and seeding in the playoffs, but we're still going to have to see them do it and have to see Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert out there at the same time in playoff basketball, with Haka Gobert's going on and shit like that. So I like the odds of where they're at. I just don't see it happening just yet. I think they're a couple years away. Like the fact that they're that high in the West, and we're going to get into MVP odds, but we're not going to see their best player on those odds. I think that they need a really superstar elite from Ant Edwards. I'm going to go with the Suns, bro. I'm going to go with Booker. I'm going to go with KD. I'm going to go with Bradley Beal. I like the odds at over, plus 1,000. So if I'm not going with the Clippers, I'm going with the Suns. And I'm going with KD in the playoffs. We know Booker hasn't gotten it done yet. But that's another guy who's been a walking bucket all season so far. Give me the Suns at that price. I think that those are really good hedging odds also.
All right, man. Hey, Roland, we were talking about it before you came on. Ben said that there's a pic that somebody's pictured on here who has no business being on here, and that's the guy at the bottom left, Mr. Steph Curry. Right? He says the Warriors aren't even on this list. Curry ain't even on the list for MVP. before we finish this little segment here,
What's up?
I mean, did you ever think there would be a time within the next couple of years that you would not see the Warriors as on any favorite list here for
I
the
mean,
championship?
I'm not gonna say
Or
that
did you kind of see
I
that
saw.
the regression was
Yeah, I
coming?
was gonna say I'm not gonna say I saw it with a crystal ball, but you kind of saw this coming down the line. They missed on some key draft picks along the years. They had a couple of, just misses. I mean, you have James Wiseman, who hasn't really done anything in the league since he's been there, not on the team anymore. GM left. You have an aging, core. That this stuff is kind of bound to happen. Didn't think they would find themselves all the way, kind of in the position that they're in. Kind of turned it up a little bit towards the All-Star break. Might find themselves in the play-in game. But do want to touch a little bit kind of on what Ben said, though, with the Suns. I like that at plus 1,300.
Yeah.
When all three of their big three are playing, KD, Bradley Beal, and Booker, they're tough to beat. They have a really good record. It's just that hasn't happened often. Bradley Beal's been injured a lot. We all know KD's injury history. So, it's just one of those teams that you really got to cross your fingers. And also same thing kind of with the Clippers with Kawhi and his injuries, but got to, cross your fingers that, no one gets hurt there. Because if one guy goes down, and just like it is for a lot of these teams, but especially with them, with how thin they are on their bench, it's curtains for them. So.
Hey, bro, we might as well put a WNBA player in this graphic. I mean, come on, bro.
Hey, he did compete against a WNBA player in the 3-point contest.
I mean, if the media ain't put him up here, I don't know why he's on this picture right now.
Hey, he had a good victory over the weekend. He beat Sabrina Ionesco in that 3-point shooting contest. So
he made Sabrina shoot from the male line. I mean, come on, bro.
You know what? I didn't even notice that, but that's a hell of a point, bro. Why didn't they let her take that extra foot or whatever it is closer? And then, and you know what? Don't they use a smaller ball also?
She did use a smaller ball.
She did use a smaller ball. Okay. I didn't even. I mean, we don't have to, but just like describe the NBA All-Star Weekend in 3 words.
Did you watch it at all?
I did not watch one.
I didn't watch it at all.
Of NBA All-Star Weekend at all. I was watching UFC on Saturday from when the prelims started, and I was keeping up with other sports that were active at that time, like hockey and stuff. And then on Sunday, I maybe watched like a little bit of the All-Star game at the very end, like when the game was already like a blowout. So just to see what was going on, but they don't take it seriously, so not going to watch it. You saw Anthony Edwards saying he was going to be shooting with his left hand and shit like that, so they don't really know.
I'm tired. Luka shot from the opposing team's free throw line, bro. Like, for what? Like, why are we putting lines on those games when these guys are just shooting in our face, bro? Come on.
Seriously.
Oh my god, that's insane. Yeah, man. I mean, All-Star Weekend.
Give a damn about the game, bro.
They didn't.
Yeah, and that's because apparently they had like some of the NBA, I guess, legends or NBA like former players come in and say, "Hey guys, we got to have a competitive game. This is important for the NBA. This is all the best players in the world coming together on the court at one time. Got to give a good effort." And the players just gave those former players a middle finger with the way that they went out there and with that effort. So.
But some guys were out there trying to hoop and get their shit back. Like Dame was out there. He won MVP. He won the 3-point contest. Like this was a career highlight weekend for Dame, Roland. So it wasn't a game just to all of these guys.
Yeah, it means more to others, but for sure.
It looked easy for Dame because everybody else was just taking the night off, man. I think that's more what it could have been as well. But
speaking about Dame, go ahead, Ron. Finish your point on All-Star.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking about Dame, we didn't even talk about the East really because we're all kind of focused on the West right now, and rightfully so because I think that's where the champ is coming out. But you got the Bucks and the Celtics. Just to touch on the East before we move on. Do you guys think it's a 2-team race? Bucks, their story. They brought over Damian Lillard in the offseason. They were probably the favorites right where they're at right now with the Celtics. But as the season's progressed, haven't really looked the best at times. I know they still find themselves atop the East. Just hired Doc Rivers, who can't stop talking about how tough his job is and just how he doesn't wish this upon anybody. But do you guys take the Bucks seriously? Or just what's your take on the East and the top 2 teams?
I'll go just real quick. Like with the Doc Rivers signing, I'm out on the Bucks. Just with that, like the dude, we've seen what he does, and he just doesn't get it done. So we're out on that. The Knicks, the Julius Randle injury really screwed them. I think the Knicks were going for it, getting OG, Brunson. They have DiVincenzo, they had Randle. They have a lot of they have players who Brunson is having a hell of a year. So the Knicks are always, that regular season team that goes hard. Any Tom Thibodeau team goes hard in the regular season. But the odds are, with the Celtics as being the favorites to win the championship because they're going to have the easiest path to the title, bro. The East is pretty weak. If the Bucks are your best comp and Doc Rivers is a head coach over there, I mean, you have the series is made for you. Joel Embiid, I think, is the X factor. Does he come back before the playoffs and healthy enough to play throughout the playoffs? The Philly's the only team that could throw a wrench in it. The Miami Heat are always a dark horse. This is just not the year for the Miami Heat. So I think Philly's the only team that could throw a wrench into the Celtics and Bucks Eastern Conference Finals. And it's looking like the Celtics are going to have a pretty easy path there.
All right, man. I'm going to go ahead and get to mine real quick. I'm going to give you the what I'm betting on, and I'm going to give you what I think really happens. All right, so what I think really happens is to we always say to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. We're talking about players who turn it on and who can turn it off. Jamal Murray and Jokic, to me, are just dudes who you don't want to see them in the postseason. You just don't. And besides them, their core group of guys just knows every single role. Like each player knows what their role is, and they do that role the very, very best. Where to me, if you're the Clippers, you kind of have your role, right? You know what Uno is, you know what George is, and Kawhi. But at the end of the day, like, who is going to have their ball in the last shot? So to me, I'm going to go ahead and ride with the Denver Nuggets to repeat, but I'm going to bet on the Lakers because, of course, yes, I'm a LeBron fan, but at plus 3,000, I mean, Gabe Vincent, when he comes back, they made, that good pickup for Dinwiddie. Now, that's what the Lakers, you could say, have always missed. After LeBron and AD go off the court, where's all the offense going to come from? They still kept Rivers. Ruiz, has shown that he can, be a star. Hey, injuries always happen in the NBA so if one of these guys gets hurt on the Clippers or another big name player gets hurt, hey, the door is open for the Los Angeles Lakers, and at plus 3,000, I don't mind a little sprinkle at all, Roland.
Hey,
moving on, man.
I was gonna say I like that plus 3,000. Who knows what can happen?
Why not?
Although I don't think that'll happen. Although you did give your take, you think the Nuggets are gonna end up pulling it out, but if the Lakers can find a way to sneak in there, if they get their guys to play good, the problem with them is that they put a lot of reliance in Austin Reeves and D'Angelo Russell, and even Rui, like you said. And when those guys aren't hitting, as you alluded to earlier, where does the offense come from, right? You're looking at Austin Reeves and you see his stat, you see the box score, and he's like 3 of 12 for 11 points, and you're just like, what the hell is going on here?
And he's out there for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have that going on. He hasn't really played up to his potential or what they thought they were going to get out of him. So they go get Dinwiddie. Hopefully that's a little spark plug. But if they can get
Vincent,
if they can get that Vincent they whiffed on, hopefully he can come back and be good for them in the second part of the season. But I was going to say D'Lo. He's really stepped it up. The GM was looking at him hard. You saw those.
He didn't want to get traded.
You saw those videos. You saw LeBron just looking at D'Angelo sideways, just giving him the GM look. And hey, D'Lo, he responded. He responded as best as anybody could have. He put up a bunch of 30-point games, or I don't know how many, but he did go off for a stretch there towards the All-Star break. So props to D'Lo surviving LeBron's chopping block, because that doesn't happen too often.
Hey, we start talking about the Lakers, and guess who pops out, bro? Alan. What's up, Alan? What's up, Ryan? Let's get to Ryan's comment. Warriors gonna bust out a Chiefs playoff. Come on. What do you say, boys? Are the Warriors gonna bust out the?
Nah, they gotta make
the late run here.
They gotta make the play-in first.
Hey, bro, how did I come back to a Lakers talk? Like, who has
Ron,
the Lakers?
Ron did the Salt Bay. Ron did the Salt Bay on the Lakers.
Just get up, go to the toilet, Flush it down, cause that's what you're
Cause
doing there.
plus 3,000, you're not gonna sprinkle a little free play
Not at
on that.
all. And then Allen pops up as soon as Lakers, like the bat symbol went up in the air, bro.
Oh no, I felt the LeBron vibe. Hey, I got the Lakers shirt on too and everything, bro. No,
Hey,
the LeBron shirt on.
we're talking about championship odds, and then we get into Lakers
Hey,
talk. What are we doing here, bro?
the
Boy,
LeBron
Ryan,
LeBron
chef
already
equals my
won.
homie.
LeBron won his last trophy already. That play-in tournament was what the Lakers were going for this year. Hey, and it was good. The play-in tournament, I think it was a success. They already rebranded it. I don't know what it's called now, but LeBron was the first one to raise that banner. They raised it for a reason too, guys. I'm just saying.
It's shit. I'd rather watch the playing tournament than the All Star Weekend any freaking day of the week. I'll tell you that.
Facts.
But moving on, boys. From championship odds, we're gonna get real quick into individual awards here. Who do you guys think wins the MVP odds? We got Jokic as the favorite, as the only player at minus money, minus 135, and then Booker and Durant, a couple of teammates at the very end at plus 20,000. Who's your shot, boys? Where do you
Man,
where are you laying the cash?
I don't know if he'll get it done, but I'm just gonna start my take with saying that I think Jokic is a false favorite at minus 135. I don't think that he's done enough to this in this point of the season to really give himself that cushion to be the odds-on favorite at this point. I do think that's a little lazy in terms of the odds in the betting market. So give me Kawhi Leonard plus 7,000. I like his stats. It's tied to the Clippers and how well they can do as a team. He's the one carrying the load. Statistically, I mean, he's having one of the most efficient seasons of his career. I mean, he's shooting 53% from the field, 45% from three, averaging 24 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Not the craziest stats, but it's super efficient. Gotta like what he's doing. If the team can sneak into that 2 seed, maybe. I like Kawhi's chances, but if I were being realistic, I like SGA. I like what they're doing. The Thunder are going to find themselves towards the top of the list in terms of the seeding in the West. And it's going to be because of SGA, who one of my favorite players to watch, has one of the sickest handles in the game, knows how to get a shot on anybody, has every bag in the book. I mean, I think every book in the bag, I guess. I said that backwards, but I like SGA as a little underdog here. But yeah, Jokic definitely should not be the favorite at this point. I disagree there.
Ben, tell me who you got, bro.
I like SGA. I mean, the Thunder are sitting at number 2 in the West. I think if they get in there with home court advantage, nobody really expected the Thunder to take a leap like that, and he's averaging close to 30 points per game. So I like him there, but I like a long shot also. Quietly, this might be his last season with the team, but I like Donovan Mitchell with the Cavs, bro. Donovan Mitchell's lighting it up. I get it that it's really outside odds, but they're sitting as a number 2 seed also in the Eastern Conference. I mean, let's let the Cavs pull off the number 1 seed, and beat out the Bucks second half of the season, and Donovan Mitchell averaging 30 points a game can be up there for MVP. I think that Jokic is having a more down year than what he's had, the previous 2, and he's already been a back-to-back MVP. With lower stats, I don't see him winning it again, so I think that he's a false favorite, like Roland. I'll take 2-1 odds on SGA, and I'll take the plus 15,000 shot on Donovan Mitchell.
I like that call out.
So we have Allen. We have Allen in here. SGA playing in a small market and still having his name out there speaks volumes for his play. Very true. I mean, we saw guys like Kevin Durant, Uno, all had to leave that smaller market.
Westbrook,
and not that Westbrook, not that they weren't stars. Obviously, they were stars. But you leave OKC and go to New York. You go to Philly. You go to these huge markets, and the freaking State Farm commercials come in and all these endorsements, so hopefully SGA stays there for a minute. They're a young squad, but me for my MVP odds, man, I don't know. I think this could be the year that Jason Tatum finally comes out and doesn't shoot himself in the foot toward the end of the year like he always does. And we talked about teams being at the top. I mean, they were the shortest odds to win the championship. So give me Tatum at plus 2,200. I mean, how can you not, take those odds, man? That's insane right there. So give me Tatum at plus 2,200. The super, super, super long shot, I'd have to go with Mitchell. I don't think Durant and Booker will do enough But Mitchell at plus 1500 or Tatum, man, with the C's,
Yeah,
especially with the East being so shaky.
yeah, Mitchell's balling right now. Got to take a sprinkle on him at plus 15,000. Hey, but you know who else, had the crystal ball and saw that SGA was going to be doing this great work? None other than Doc Rivers.
Ooh.
Doc Rivers told Paul George, "Are you sure you want to trade SGA? He might end up being pretty." Or I think he told Kawhi Leonard, "Are you sure you want to trade for
Uh-huh.
Paul George? Are you sure you want to trade SGA? It might take him a year or two, but this guy might be really good in the league." So just saying, Doc Rivers, as much shit as we give him, that guy has an eye for talent, man. Just gotta say, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff.
Hey, I'm surprised
Ryan.
that Ron didn't go with Luca here, and that goes to Ryan. Shouting out his Mavs and
Yeah.
Luca. I'm the biggest Luca hater. So when Ron was putting this together and Luca was up there, I was like, "Dog, come on! He's not even the best player on his team, bro. Like, Kyrie's cooking in Dallas. Like, and Kyrie's have. I don't see Luca as MVP. The Tatum one, I think Tatum is going to be a guy that is going to win an MVP before his career is over. It's just a matter of when. And it's, with the Celtics being the favorite like that, do they have their second half run? We saw him make those comments about Kristaps Porzingis being his Paul Gasol. So here they are with the odds-on
Nice.
favorite to win the title. I mean, if they don't do it this year, after giving Jaylen Brown that huge contract and all that shit, you really got to start.
No shit.
There's going to have to be some serious discussions if they don't at least get to the title this year.
So Ryan and Alan getting in on the NBA chatter here. Thanks for joining us, boys, man. We appreciate it. So, like Ben mentioned, Ryan said Luka is the Josh Allen of the NBA. My dog Luka, but he did say that his Mavs are going to disappoint again, and that's the reason why I'm not taking Luka. Yeah, Luka's my boy. He's my dog, but a lot of people say off the court, even on the court, that he really doesn't care. He really doesn't, give much of a shit. He's into other stuff, and he's a baller, and he just goes out there and balls and doesn't really want to be the face of the NBA. They were talking about who's going to be the face after LeBron leaves and all this stuff, the young players like Luka, but I don't really know if Luka's going to be that guy. Alan decided to go ahead and respond and don't diss Luka like that, man.
Yeah, I think,
but he did say PG is another name to watch. Still hasn't signed his extension.
I think Luka, you don't see his odds shorter because he's still statistically still having a great year. Didn't he have 73 earlier in the year? This guy's still a walking triple double. Still a beast, but I think it's just tied to the Mavs being in the 7th seed. Like maybe they were like in the 3, competing as a true contender in the West. I would see Luka as probably the favorite, just knowing that he has the stats to back it up. But Luka, his style of play, I think Kyrie being there, another kind of ball dominant guy, helps out a little bit because Luka, you see his usage rates, it's crazy. That stuff doesn't always translate to championship basketball when you have so much, focused on and centered on one player, and that being Luka. That's why you never see the Mavs, really do much in the playoffs because he ends up breaking down. But if they were maybe in the 3 seed, I would take a shot at them, but don't see them making that kind of run. So gonna lay off also. But Luka's still balling though.
The white James Harden, bro. He just needs to, finish in the top 2 seed like James Harden did when he had to win his MVP. Because that's what he is. You know what I mean? Dribble, 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 dribble. Shoot or pass is just.
And no defense.
Yeah, as a cone on defense. Yep.
All right, let's finish off the NBA talk with Alan's comment here. Same thing was said about Jokic, and we saw how that transpired. These European dudes, different, man. I agree, but Jokic is just on another level, dog. That guy's doing things that Luka can do, and centers can do, and point guards can do, and shooting guards can do. So he's just on another level to me. Anything else you guys want to say for the NBA, or are we about to wrap it up and head to our final discussion point here?
Just excited for these final 27 games. It's crazy where the NBA has their All-Star break, so late in the season, but just excited to see how the rest of the season is going to transpire.
Yeah, we definitely should be above SGA. We definitely got to bring back those NBA pull-up episodes, and we got Jerry in the comments saying they hoeing Luka. Jerry, that's because Luka's a hoe, dog.
All right, man. So just as the NBA chatter is heating up, we're gonna go ahead and hit the pause button on it and move to a topic like Roland says. He says it about the NBA, but you could say this about this person, this team right here, man. So kept it simple. This came out earlier. I think Ben said it was on the Bleacher Report. Dak to command $60 million a year. He's on the last year of his contract. Boys, I'm just gonna leave it to you guys, man. 5 words. Dak to command 60 million a year. What were your thoughts when you first saw this shit?
I think Roland should set the stage because there's got to be some context to it. So Roland, bring us the context so that the argument doesn't sound as ridiculous as the headline.
Yeah. So you see the $60 million a year and you're like, what the hell? But honestly, this is just the price of doing business for perceived top tier quarterback in the league. Over the past couple of years, we've seen, and it even I think started with Dak when he signed his original deal that he's getting ready to redo. He reset the quarterback market. He became higher paid than Patrick Mahomes after he signed his big $500 million contract. Then you saw Joe Burrow top him. Then you saw Jalen Hurts top him. Then you saw Justin Herbert most recently top him. And I think Josh Allen is sprinkled in there somewhere. So these quarterbacks, what was that, Ben?
Deshaun Watson?
Deshaun Watson's in there too, resetting the market, getting his fully.
Burrow, I don't know if we mentioned Burrow.
Burrow was in there. Yes, I did mention him. But every time a quarterback is up for renewal, they're going to reset the market. That's just how it works. The NFL salary cap goes up every year. So it's a product of that as well. They usually stay, I want to say, within like 30% of the cap. So relatively speaking, probably not moving up a bit, but it's the high sticker. You have to pay a quarterback of Dak's caliber. I mean, he's been, in terms of statistics in the regular season, and I'm just, laying it out there. Ben's asking me to, give all the context that there is. Dak has been one of the best statistical quarterbacks over the course of his career in the regular season. He's improved year over year. He had that big injury, overcame that, has played really well, was in MVP considerations this year. And this is just the price of doing business for those type of quarterbacks. He had the MVP talk. Where did the Cowboys go without Dak? I don't think they're in a position to reset. Personally, I'm not going to give my take just yet. Just wanted to lay the groundwork for Ben's take here. Ben, what's your thoughts? Do you agree with this is the price of playing ball with these types of quarterbacks? Or are you more the mindset of, if this is what it takes to play ball with these types of guys, I'd rather not?
Yeah, I thought that you were going to lay out the table. I didn't think you were going to start caping for Dak a little bit, before you give us your take. But I hear what you're saying about this is the price to pay. And, the comments are popping off right now. Jerry saying pay him and say goodbye to the defense and free agents. Dak's a top 10 quarterback. Playoff Dak is different. But I agree we're rolling. Where else would they go? Yeah, where else would you go, guys? I get that, but is Dak – so he reset the market once. I said this to Roland in the group chat, and I'll say it again, today. It's like, did Phillip Rivers ever reset the quarterback market? Because this guy hasn't done anything of relevance besides – you haven't even had the first-round bye yet. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You lost to the Packers. You lose – games you're not supposed to be losing. I think that sometimes it's just okay. Is it you look in the mirror and you say, is this really the guy that's going to get us over the hump? We've already had amazing rosters, and now we're going to have to up his pay and cut our money everywhere else, right? The roster's not going to get better than what it's been. With him demanding more money, the roster's only going to suffer more at other skill positions. So I think the best rosters that they could put in front of Dak before him getting paid, they're behind them already. This would be a big mistake. I mean, man, cut your losses, and who knows that somebody's not going to demand a trade once the Cowboys have an opening. Like, that's the type of team to where, we see quarterbacks every year, just like we saw head coaches. Now, they didn't take the leap of faith on the head coach. So how the hell are we going to expect them to take the leap of faith on the quarterback? There's no shot. They're going to give him the money, but it's going to be an all-time screw-up, bro. I get being relevant. Listen, Cowboys tickets are going to sell no matter what, bro. They're as guaranteed as a Bruce Springsteen ticket. They're going to sell no matter who's at quarterback. Quincy Carter, straight out of Alton, Texas, the week before. It doesn't matter. Cooper Rush, the Cowboys ticket's going to sell, but this is a huge mistake, man. Huge.
Look,
Boys, I love it. Keep the chat up, bro, because Roland and Ben are gonna go off. So
it's
y'all just better get your popcorn ready.
the Cowboys are in an all time, in my opinion. This is a lose situation for them because I do believe, where else do you go? This isn't an opportunity for them to just be like, you know what, Dak, we're gonna part ways because they have a championship roster. They have a roster that's ready to win today on most people's account. They're one of the higher rated teams year in and year out. Like Ben has noted, they have a great roster. How long can they keep that going once you have to start paying guys like CD and Micah, names that are coming up in the chat, and guys that are going to demand paydays and be at the top of their position as well at receiver and pass rusher. Not cheap positions to fill for sure, especially when you're dealing with the guys at the top of their position like those two. But the Cowboys are in a tough position. Look, I'm not saying he's this guy, but this just leads to the position that the Cowboys are in. Guys, how long did it take Peyton Manning to crack the code? It took him quite some time, man. I'm just saying that's the spot that the Cowboys are in. That's the spot that the Cowboys are in. They have a regular season guy. They have a stud in Dak Prescott. You can't argue with the stats. The numbers are there. In the playoffs, I agree with you. I've seen it myself. I came on here the week or the few days after the debacle against the Packers, and I laid it all out there. I see it also. Dak had a terrible game in the playoffs. I'm not willing, or I'm not ready just to go and hand him $60 million.
Year? Which year?
Dude, all of them. I've seen it. I know it.
Okay.
I've seen, but it took, dude. How long? I'm just asking the question. It took Peyton Manning a long time to crack it,
bro.
That's all that I'm saying.
The only thing that him and Peyton Manning have in common is Omaha, and here we go. That's it, bro.
But hold on. And for the people saying the formula is to win with the rookie contract, while I agree that gives you the best chance to build a good roster, let me just read you off a couple of quarterback names that have won the Super Bowl recently. Peyton Manning
put him in sentences with other Hall of Famers, bro.
Peyton, I'm just saying, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Nick Foles is in there, but still, that's kind of like an anomaly. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes. Look, I'm just saying, you need a good quarterback to give you a chance. You need that guy. You need is Dak that guy? I don't know, but that's why I'm saying the Cowboys are in a tough position right here. I personally would like to see them make him play a season out like on a short term or like a prove me year or something like that. But guys, that's just not how you do business with these quarterbacks. Dak will just be like, yo, cool. I won't walk out on the field. Have fun with Trey Lance and knock yourself out with that. And I mean, that's not a viable option either, is all that I'm saying. You just got to do business.
Let me ask you two Cowboy fans a question so we can get an answer. Ryan brought up, Ryan also, a Cowboys fan. He said, ni modo Dak, let's bring in Kirk Cousins. How big is the drop-off from Dak to Kirk Cousins based off like $30 million extra dollars to keep Dak? Is the drop-off that big? Is there even a drop-off?
All right, man. I'll put my 2 cents in real quick. I'm Kirk O'Bangs, dog. I'll take Kirk O'Bangs over Dak at this point. Reason being, also, we heard Jerry Jones is in his nose is in everything, his fingers in everything. We did hear him say, we're only going to go as far as Dak takes us. And that was, a lot of people thought, a low-key shot at Dak because look at where he took him. Absolutely nowhere this year. Jerry in here again, trade Dak for Baker. I mean, I'm tired of seeing number 4 go out there on the field and either get hurt, throw picks, and seeing him on all these fucking commercials, sleeping in a bed like I'm comfortable and this and that. I mean, the dude doesn't want it, bro. He doesn't want it. There was an episode of Hard Knocks, and there's a game that they play where they throw the football at the pylons, right? And then he's over here. They're in the quarterback room, and the meeting hasn't started yet. But he's like, hey, what's that game? Maybe I can brand it. I need to tell my manager about that shit. So he's, to me, this guy, his head isn't in the game to win. Michael Irvin came out and said, the Cowboys are different in the 90s than they are now because we went out there and we wanted to win. We did whatever we could to win. It was a whole different mentality back then. And you don't get that from your quarterback. And you're the quarterback for the fucking Dallas Cowboys. If you ain't the baddest, MFer on the block, then you need to be off the squad and give somebody else a chance. Guys like a Kirk, guys like a Baker. Shit, give Trey Lance a run. We saw what happened with Mr. Irrelevant. Jimmy Garoppolo. Goes down. Hey,
Nah,
it's all
guys.
good. Look, I'm
Hey,
just saying,
you
bro.
got comments
Roland,
saying preach Ron. A lot of trade
Look,
down.
hey,
I'm not.
bro, I'm just saying how tired of you are going season after season after season. We went through it with Romo.
I'm just
Romo
saying right
dropping the snap. I'm tired, bro. I'm tired. Let's just get a fresh face in there, Roland. You never know.
Ron
I
capped his
would
last time for
I
Dak
would
last
I would
playoff.
be for like the Cowboys trading for the number 1 pick, doing something like
Nico in
that.
the house.
Getting like a Caleb Williams or like a reset. But honestly, the quarterback market right now, I still take Dak over those names that you guys mentioned. I'm not caping for him. I'm just saying the Cowboys are in a bad spot. I'm just calling a spade a spade. They don't have a lot of options right now. I don't know if you just go ahead and just give him everything that he wants without playing a little bit of hardball in negotiation. Shit, you saw how the Ravens were playing with Lamar Jackson and his negotiations for his extension. So why can't they play a little hardball with Dak is all that I'm saying. Will that fly over well with him? I don't know, but hey, man, at some point, like I do agree with what Ron is saying. You gotta show up. You gotta win in the playoffs. We know what you can do week 1 through 18 or whatever, how many weeks they play. We know what you're about then. But it's the playoffs, and that's what the Cowboy fans in here and across the country are waiting for and have been waiting for. And who knows if it's with Dak. I'm just saying at this point in time, kind of hard to pivot.
And it's not even like he goes to the playoffs and he performs well and somebody else fumbled the ball or the defense gives up, something, or a special teams punt. It's like he goes out there and he just plays like ass, bro. Like pick sixes and just fumbling and stumbling and rumbling, and he's just like he makes it worse on himself. And then I don't know how true this, comment is that he's commanding $60 million a year. But if you're Dak, to Roland's point, fuck it, shoot your shot. I mean, you got paid before, you reset the market once. Why not try and get a bag again?
There's just like levels of quarterback, and I think that he's on the third level of quarterbacks, bro. Like I think it's like Patrick Mahomes, and I don't know if anybody else is up there with Patrick Mahomes. And then I think it's like Josh Allen and those other guys, and then I think it's Dak. Like Dak and Jalen Hurts, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of question marks about Jalen Hurts, and obviously he's overachieved. He was a second-round pick, but look at where he's been now. MVP favorite, kind of like Dak was, mid-season. But at the end of the day, it's like, they're just not that good.
Hey,
they overachieved for where they were picked and whatnot, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be that guy to get you there. Like, they already overachieved. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a tough spot, man. It's
tough. Like, where do you go from here? Yeah,
exactly. But I mean, it's just heartbreaking that we're having this conversation again right now, because that means that the Cowboys didn't win a Super Bowl. But it is what it is.
It's like, fuck, man. We always gotta, And then again, as Cowboy fans, like we do it to ourselves, even in the off season, man. Shout out to J. Cole. It's the off season.
Too, like you have to be like, you have to have that true conviction as like a GM or somebody to have the point that I brought up. Like, is Dak ever gonna be a guy that gets it done in the playoffs, or is this just what Dak is? Because we have seen other NFL quarterbacks struggle in the playoffs
what year is he in, Roland?
And then crack the code. It's taking guys longer, is all that I'm saying, to get there. But it's just one of those things, man. He has talent. You know what's there with him. It's just, the playoffs hasn't been there.
Like it took Matthew Stafford a longer time, right? But Matthew Stafford was also drafted like a blue chip player. He wasn't drafted like that 4th or 5th rounder that overachieved and became the.
And he was on a shit team for a lot of years.
Matthew Stafford has always come with the, 5-star recruit, this, and that. And yes, the Rams went all in and he finally won. But I just think that with most guys, like after 7-8 years in the league, I think you kind of know. And when you fall this short, like it's not like he's even got into the Super Bowl yet, bro. We haven't got into the NFC title game yet. Like,
you haven't even gone to the dance,
yeah,
much
I
less,
mean,
win prom king. He got drafted in 2016, fourth round, and he won NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year that year. And
8
after
years in
that,
the
it seemed
league.
like it was all downhill, partner.
I think we kind of know what he is by now.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. Hey guys, right before we were gonna leave, look who pops up.
Got to get that shot in there. Hey, CJ Stroud, got to be excited for what you guys got in Houston for sure. Guy looks like a gamer. But man, it's just one of those things. Dak is one of those players, man. Like you see what he can do, but like Ben has said, maybe the story has already written itself, and we already know what it is with Dak. Hey, 8 years in the league, hasn't been able to get it done, but it's just that talent that he flashes on the field that you think like, hey, at some point you think that it's going to come together. Especially when it matters the most. But as we all know with the Cowboys, we fumble in the biggest spots, whether it's Dak throwing pick sixes, the team not being ready, because we talked about that too, and we already breezed over the head coach coming back, but not a big fan of that move either. But just everything top to bottom, the Cowboys organizationally, there's some fixing that needs to be done, but just don't know if you tell Dak to kick rocks here. It's just it's tough.
And when we bring up Kirk Cousins, like, we know what he is also, right? He's probably what Dak is, but if you can pay him $30 million less to be that and put a way better roster around him, I just feel like, I mean,
go out and get a Derrick Henry with that money.
There is a pivot, it's not an Aaron Rodgers type year, right? It's not like where Aaron Rodgers is coming over like he did with the Jets, but I mean, Kirk Cousins isn't the
El otro.
It's not Matt Ryan, it's not Matt Ryan at the end of his career.
Shit, we just need to have a Dallas Cowboys show because everybody just showed up for the Dallas Cowboys segment, baby. You know what it is. DCL for life. DCL for life. Hey man, but that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for us. We got to the Dak section late. That's when everybody, was involved for the most part. But throughout the show, I mean, we had people in the beginning for the NBA and for the UFC. Appreciate all the love, guys. Throw the likes, throw the comments, throw the shares. Follow us on social media too. We're trying. I think on Instagram we're trying to get to 5K. We're almost there, and on Facebook we're trying to get to 10K. Every little like, every little share helps. It definitely does. So
Range matters.
Dak's off. Why, bro? Why? I can't.
Hey, we brought back Jimmy Johnson. Hey, Jimmy Johnson's back in the fold with the Cowboys, so we'll see what's up there.
Hey, good point. Good point, man. All right, man. For me, for Ben, for Roland, that's it for us. Any parting words, boys, or am I going to roll the outro?
Peace.